Transfer news for West Ham is coming thick and fast at the moment. It's changing all the time. In fact, like doing this is hard work because you're kind of having to prepare what you want to say and look into what's been going on. And by the time you've kind of prepared it, something else has happened or that's changed. We've just gone for that Fabrizio Bruno, of course, where we made him a big target. It was come out that the deal was going through. It was basically, it was given the thumbs up everywhere. That's coming from Fabrizio Romano as well. Even giving it the here we go for then the player to do a last minute U-turn. I talked about that in a previous video, but it's just constantly changing. But we have got a bit of an update. We've got a couple of players I want to talk about. First one is the one that's kind of doing the rounds at the moment. It's the big news in the press, which is Luis Guilherme, the 18-year-old Brazilian winger, who we are apparently in talks with, and it's moving forward. And West Ham are at this stage looking in quite likely to sign the player this summer. It's a huge fee. It is massive. We're talking 30 million euros for an 18-year-old player. It's a big bit of news this for West Ham because it's what West Ham fans, we want to see this. We want to see the club identifying top talent. Like this is why we've got Tim Steidten in, going to get them and to help the club progress. So then if they do go on to become these superstars, we then make a huge profit on it. We can then reinvest in the squad and keep going. So I'm all for it. But I'll admit, even for myself that wants to see that, when you see 30 million euros for an 18-year-old, you do think that is a gamble. It's a big, big gamble because it's one on Tim Steidten now, isn't it? Because if he's the pearl diver, the one that goes out and finds this talent across the globe and they go on to be superstars, that's great. But it's got to come off, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's got to work, and it does feel like a huge gamble for West Ham. But look, it's still, this is the update we've got at the moment. It's going on. This is the one that comes from Fabrizio Romano at this stage. I'm reading out now. So West Ham have agreed all personal terms for the 2006 born talent. Salary and contracts are now ready. Talks are now in their final stages with Palermo on a 30 million euro fee with 20% future sale. West Ham are almost there, but they're cautious until the end. This is a big bit of news. This player is heavily linked with a move to Liverpool. And other big clubs across the continent are after him, but Liverpool seem to be, in terms of England, would be a club that are very, very keen to bring him in. So this is very big. This is very big news, but fingers have been burnt this week, as you'll know, with the Bruno situation. So I'm not going to start going, done deal, it's all sorted. I'm going to be pretty cautious on it and say, look, let's wait and see what happens. But exciting. I mean, I've looked at the clips I've seen of the player. Looks pretty decent. I don't know enough about him. All I know is that if you look into his past, the build up, he's only 18, so there's not much to look at. But he's been highly rated as being the sort of the next superstar for Brazil. Very, very much so. And that's been throughout. You had that for if you look at sort of the age of 15 onwards, he's been touted as being someone that's going to go on to do really big things in the game. So this will be seen as a huge coup, I think, if West Ham can pull this off. And if you go and also look at the president of the club he's at, they don't want to see him go. They are devastated the fact that he might be leaving at such an early age. They just do not want to see it happen. But apparently, according to reports, the player is very keen on the move to West Ham. This is the club he wants to go by. In fact, XWHU employee has provided that update. It appears it talks of Luis Guilherme of Palermo's. The transfer is also likely to prove quite difficult, he said, because there's other people that are interested in him, which is Brentford and Liverpool, amongst others. But with the further updates, I've said, it does appear that the player has actually made his mind up and wants to come to West Ham. So, look, this could happen, but I just want to kind of wait until that does, you know what I mean, until we start being too confident about it, because obviously things can change very quickly, as we've experienced this week. But that is the big bit of news, I think, for at this stage. A young, up-and-coming superstar is now possibly on the way to West Ham. So very, very interesting. Another one that's just come out recently is Armando Broja. So the player is apparently back in talks with West Ham. We've been very keen on Broja now for quite some time. Obviously, prior to his injury, that for me, that's the key bit when you think of Broja now. He had a fantastic loan spell at Southampton a few years ago, obviously still at Chelsea while he was at Chelsea then. That his stock level rose, and we were very, very keen to bring him in. If you remember, we spent pretty much all of summer trying to get him in. It's the summer that we ended up getting Scamacca in, and he got a cruciate knee injury during that summer. and struggled to get back into Chelsea's plans. I mean, he made a few appearances and played okay, not too bad. He then went on loan to Fulham last season, and nothing really come of that. Really, he didn't set well to light at all. So I believe Chelsea now are looking for, I believe, to be sort of 20 to 30 million pounds of a player, considering the fact that it was double that not too long ago. They obviously want to cash in now. At this stage, this has all been given. It's quite loose at this stage. It says that there's been a blast from the past here with another former player being linked. We believe that Albanian forward and Chelsea player Armando Broja's agent has now been in touch with the club to offer his services to West Ham. Tim Stardon said to be prepared to listen to what he's got to say, but other targets are still ahead of Broja in terms of strikers. So still quite early on. I don't think there's much to read about that too much at the moment. It's interesting because that's a player we had so much interest in not long ago. A couple of years ago, we'd bent over backwards to try and bring the West Ham. So but his form hasn't been great, has it? Let's be honest. Since his injury, he's not set the model. I haven't really seen enough of him. But that's not to say he's a bad player. It's not to say someone that we shouldn't be talking to or maybe be interested. If I was West Ham, I'd possibly look at a loan. That's where I'd be going and trying to get that arrangement in to get him to prove himself. Unless Chelsea, of course, can let him go for minimal, sort of 10, 15 million maybe. Then maybe I think West Ham be interested, but I don't think they're going to let him go for that little. That's where my thoughts are on it. But yeah, it's an interesting time, this, because we're going to be linked with many players who know. West Ham are in the market for a lot of positions to cover next season because of the changes at the club that we needed. Defensively, we're going to need effectively a whole new overhaul. We're talking about 2 centre-backs. Zuma, his future's looking very shaky at this stage. Obviously, Ogbonna is going to be released from his contract on July or the end of June, should I say. So there's a lot to be done at this club at the moment. But yeah, so Broja, his agent's talking to West Ham, so we'll wait and see what comes of that. But the big one is Luis Guilherme, obviously 18 years old, could be a huge signing for West Ham. But let's wait and see. We're still early stages in my mind, but let's watch this space. Come on, your minds.